I think One Nation's been the only consistent political party for the last 20 years.
They're not talking about you. All right, well let me tell you, One Nation is talking about you.
It's like the media's run away from One Nation. They're too scared to ask us any questions, mainly because we're straight talkers and we've got the answers.
This is like a call to arms. You guys need to start making the real decisions and who you're going to vote for.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the ExCandidates episode 9. My name is Stephen Tripp, and as always, I'm joined by Adam Zara and Rebecca Thompson. How are you guys going today?
Good, Stephen. How are you going?
And we had a big week last week with the Friedman Conference. We punched out a whole bunch of episodes and interviews, which was really exciting for us. We had Malcolm Roberts, we had Lyle Swim, we had Rave Champion. So we're getting a lot of good feedback from those videos. And if you enjoyed those videos, please share them out, because it'd be good to get the word out to everyone about what we're trying to do here. But today is going to be a little bit of a different episode, because we have Matt Jordan on from Jab Injuries Australia. So we're going to be doing a deep dive into that. How are you going today, Matt?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Can you tell us a little bit about what Jab Injuries Australia is and what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, basically, we've created a platform, a neutral platform. So we believe that the only ones that are treating people like they're stupid are the mainstream medias and the people pushing this narrative. And what we're trying to do is treat people like they're not stupid and allow them to make up their own minds without pushing politics, science, news, conspiracies, anything of its kind, and our own opinions, just so that people who believe what's going on can come to our page and just be able to read the stories for what they are. And it's very hard to deny when you see 300 stories or so of people who are contactable as well, that this is happening. Like, for anyone to deny that is happening, well, I don't know, God help them, really.
Was there a specific moment in time that sparked the journey of Jab Injuries Australia with you, Matt?
I mean, the very beginning, if that's anything, because it just, I was just collating information just for my own argument, just because I had people in my own circle that were trying to, force it on me and make me feel bad because I didn't want it. So, I just put a few stories together and I ended up gaining a couple hundred followers pretty quickly. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just call it Jab Injuries Australia. And just in a couple of weeks, it went up to 10,000, and then it was up to 30,000, a couple of weeks more, and then it just exploded. That's one of the most memorable times for me. Yeah,
Matt, I'd like to just thank you for starting the page and giving Jab Injuries Australia and giving people an opportunity to actually have their voice. I'm part of a few community groups around the area, as I said previously. And what happens is I found it that when they were speaking to me, especially when I was campaigning, it was very important for them to have a voice with like-minded people where they could actually, get their story out, be heard, not be treated like, an imbecile, and actually verify, because it's a bit of a gaslighting by the from stories that I've heard, when people go to hospital and they're, reporting an adverse reaction, they're told that, it's just, you're just being anxious, or it's just anxiety, everything's fine, go home. So what happens is, the community groups help with mental health as well in the community, and stop people feeling like they're being gaslighted. So I do appreciate that, and thank you for that. A couple of groups, one of the groups I'm with is a Stand in the Park in the Campbelltown branch, and they all said the same thing to me. It was so good to have the group, because during lockdowns they felt uncomfortable and isolated and alone. So this is a great thing. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, no worries, and thank you as well. I have heard of the stand in the park, but I don't think I've spoken to anyone directly. So yeah, we'd be more than happy to work with you guys as well. So if you want to have a conversation about that later, I'm happy to.
Absolutely, I'll speak to the organizer as well, and then we can reach out, definitely get them to send you an invite to the link, and we just meet on Sundays in the morning, I think about 10 o'clock, and then we just hang out for a bit and just everyone gets to chat. So yeah, for sure, if that can help you in any way, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure it could. We've got a lot of stuff coming up on the ground, so yeah.
Excellent.
Matt, just wanted to ask, so obviously your platform now, you've got over 108,000 followers just on Instagram alone. With that obviously gaining traction, have you ever been, or are you contacted by people that are still currently in the medical industry who are confirming these stories that you're publishing on your Instagram?
Getting contacted by, do you mean like doctors?
Like doctors or nurses, people who are, anonymously contacting you because they are witnessing it happen at their workplace and they're not able to sort of speak up about it?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I occasionally get messages from nurses who, like, it'll be an anonymous kind of message. Like, they don't want to share anything. They just want to tell me that they do see it. It's not as common as, like, I think we've shared quite a few stories of nurses who have been injured because, they've had to take the jab themselves. I think, it was just a couple days ago we put up a lady, I think her name was Melanie, and she's had heart failure from the jab, and she was, I think her lifespan has been shortened dramatically, and I think they're saying like 5 years to live or something like that.
Wow.
So in regards to doctors, no, we haven't really heard from any doctors. But I mean, like, we've written a fair amount of stories where they've been discharged with their papers saying that it is a jab injury.
Matt, I've had a nurse contact me, and she works for telehealth. I won't say what branch, but she works for telehealth, and she said that it's not scientific at all, but she's noticed, especially in the last month or two, an upward trend in a lot of people ringing in with a lot of calls regarding chest pain. So there's been an upward trend in chest pain calls for telehealth, and that's in the age group actually of 21 to 50. So it's fairly young having a heart attack over, I think, 30 or 40 now, it does happen. But a lot of people, between 21 to 50 have now been calling in, seeking medical advice and asking to be triaged for heart and chest pain. Have you noticed that with some of the inflow in your, in the last few months, especially with the people who are writing into you and posting up on your page having a lot of chest pain?
Absolutely. That's probably the most common thing that I see, heart and chest pain. After that, it'd be neurological. But yeah, it's just getting more and more busier. Like, we actually, we need, like, someone needs to fund us. We need to be put in an office. We need funding so we can pay people to do the job properly. Because we've got a lot of wonderful volunteers helping me, but at the end of the day, they're volunteers, and if they don't do it, I have to step in and do it, So, but yeah, we have an endless supply of injuries coming in. Every time I put up a post, I can just go through the comments and I see all these people saying that they've got something the same, or, it's just, it's absolutely insane. many people are injured and presenting with heart and chest pain. Yeah.
So you talked about funding and needing funding. Is that the Om Global that you've set up?
Yeah. So that's what we are a not-for-profit, and we've set up as Om Global. Like, it was Om before it was Jab Injuries, but Om came into it a bit later. This is just, we're not really, I wouldn't say that fighting the system is a bad thing. I'm not going to say that. And if you want to fight the system, go for it. But from what I've seen, a number of times is people put a whole lot of resources and time into fighting a system that is, in my opinion, corrupt. And how do you make a corrupt system admit that they're corrupt, for starters? So I come from the point of view where I don't want to waste people's time and money and fight a system that, before all this stuff happened, we were pretty much on a downward spiral anyway. Like, society as we knew it wasn't sustainable. So I think this is like a chance for us to, empower people and make them really aware of what we are capable of as, communities all around the world, and connecting them together. So yeah, that's where we came up with Om, and basically we want to have like a small subscription of like even just $5 a month, and anyone who's been displaced can offer their services on Om. And most of it's in regards to health and alternative health and helping these people that are injured. That's the incentive. But yeah, so our goal through Om is to compensate anyone who shares their story with us, $15,000 each, just to start. That's the starting goal. If this thing takes off, there's no reason we couldn't fund people $50,000 each or something like that. But we don't want to give them cash. We want to give them a dollar figure worth of services from Om. So it gives incentive for people to share their stories and create awareness. And it also gives incentive for people to put their services on Om because there's work there. So, if there's 1 million subscribers, in a month, we've got, that's like $5 million in a month. Let's just say $600,000 of that goes to the injured in a month, and then you've got what, 4.5 or $4.4 million left over. There's I could just use parents with questions, if you know those guys, just as an example. Like, they're buying land and they're doing farms and stuff like that. They're already doing a great job at that. Like, why can't we just go, okay, well, you guys can have some more money to keep on doing that? Or another organization like React 19, who are coming up with like actual good research and science in treating people with these injuries. We can, they need funds, so we give them funds for that. Anyone who's making the world a better place and helping empower people and communities, it makes sense to me. Like, there's no one getting rich in this. This is, it's not the world that we live in, anymore. Like, people have to start realizing that we have to be equal with each other. So this is where I'm going with Om, and it just means that people have to sort of start thinking 10 steps ahead, because from what I've noticed, people still can't grasp it yet. I think people are still in that mindset where it's like, yeah, we got to change the system, like we got to go and yell at them and do this and that. And I see it all the time in these protests, but I'm not 100% sure what change is actually happening. I think that this is the way to go. So that's what I'm pushing.
Yeah, Matt, protests are really good for raising awareness and showing
Yes.
everybody else, you know, you get 1 to stand up and then 10 stand up and then 100. So we know that that's like a formula that works.
Yes.
So the protests are good for raising awareness. But as I said, I think all of us said it, even in our campaigns, once it's good to have awareness, but you need to start getting the people into, you know, into parliament, into positions of like legislation writing ability to actually start to make change. Just quickly, what would you like to see the government actually do? What would you like to see? You know, an admission like we made a mistake. We're sorry, we've made a mistake. We thought we were doing the right thing, but this is what we're going to do now. Would you like to see them, you know, what would you think would be a good step in the right direction for government to regain the people's faith?
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess the reason why I've been pushing on in the first place is because I feel like the government does know what's going on. I mean, how can everyday normal people know more than the government, if you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Especially when the TGA is a government website where they collate all the data.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of don't entertain that idea a whole lot. I mean, like, I don't want to get into like the deeper side of the rabbit hole and stuff, but I mean, I think I've got a pretty good idea of what's going on in the world without going into it. So, I mean, the other angle that I'm going at, in the chance that the government, you know, does want to acknowledge what's going on. So I'm pushing the awareness campaign super hard. Like, we've just created a 250-page document which anyone can print out with all of the stories in detail. You can go and whack that on your doctor's office desk or your local your local whatever, you know. And also we've just created a 20-page, sorry, is it 20 page? No, it's like a 12-page booklet, and we want to print out 1 million copies, and we're trying to raise $100,000 for that at the moment to put that in the homes of Australians all across the country. So in creating mass awareness, I mean, it has to get to a point, inevitably, that you can't not see what's happening. So at that point, maybe the government has to step in and say, yeah, we have to acknowledge it now because the people know. That's the only way I see it.
But from my experience, just in day-to-day life, it's very rare to come across a person who doesn't, if not affected directly by an injury, doesn't know someone who is. So I'm sort of in the mindset at the moment where it's like, how is it still that people are in such denial that this is occurring? Because, I mean, you can just be, like, for example, for myself, just going to the hairdresser recently, I hadn't been for over a year, but when I saw her, she was telling me about all her health complications that she's been having, and basically just told me, I know it's from that. And that was just like one example, but there's many others. So I think what do you think the reason is that we still have so many people that just refuse to acknowledge that this is going on?
I would say, I mean, like, I mean, I know that example. I live next to people like that. So, and you know, I'm pretty sure they're getting their kids involved as well. And I have spoken to them, but I mean, even though they know what I do, they completely don't see what's happening, and even to the point where they say that it's fake in a lot of ways. And I can say to them, it's definitely not fake. Like, I speak to every single person. So, I mean, the mainstream narrative is the biggest problem. And I mean, you know, we live in Australia also. Like, people, I mean, Australia's always been known as, you know, the free country, and like, even before this, you know, I used to think that we lived in the greatest country in the world, We still do in a lot of ways. I'm not saying it's bad, but you know, we're in a dark place right now. It's it's a hard question to answer. Like I'm still trying to figure that out myself, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, like, this is where, you know, I also want to add, you know, this is where we come into what I was saying earlier on about, you know, we want to treat people like they are intelligent and they're not stupid. You know, the mainstream media and the government are the only people that are treating them like they're stupid, really. So, you know, we want to give that opportunity to people to see for themselves what's going on, because it is going on.
Matt, just with that booklet that you've done with the 200 page one with the people's information about their stories, has it got their numbers and contact details on there, where if that information was forwarded onto a senator? I know that you've got Senator Gerard Rennick actually follows your Instagram page. If he was given that information, would he be? Is there information there where he could contact the actual people who have been injured and get their stories, so that he might be able to put a document together for Parliament? You know, Senate hearings and inquiries and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I haven't put people's numbers on there, just because, you know, we got to protect these people as well. But I do have, everyone has a contact, whether it's an email or an Instagram page, and you can contact them through that. Some of them don't have it, but the majority do. I'd say like 90%.
And how do most people contact you? Do they reach out to you on Instagram, or do they call you directly, or email?
Yeah. Most people contact us through Instagram. We do get emails at Jab Injuries Australia at protonmail.com. We also get contacted through our website as well.
So I know during my campaign towards the end, I had a bit of an incident where it was raised that I was unvaccinated, and suddenly I was getting all this correspondence from people firstly supporting my stance, but then I would delve into their stories, and it was quite harrowing listening to all their stories. And I would have people crying on the phone, and it was for a variety of reasons. It wasn't just you know, they were against the jab, or, you know, there was sometimes circumstances that just meant that they couldn't go along with it, and they were about to lose their jobs, or even some people that still had their job but had the threat of losing their jobs. So every story is different and unique, and it's I know for myself it was quite hard having to listen to all those stories, because it gets quite emotional. How is it for you? Obviously everyone's kind of heading in your direction to tell their story. How do you manage listening to everyone's story and knowing that these people don't have a voice? Like, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, and I reached out to Rebecca and Adam, and they jumped on board straight away, is because a lot of these people out there, they don't have a voice to represent them. How do you deal with having to listen to all these stories, and do you have any stories from people that stand out in your mind?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really think about myself in this. I just, you know, it's just about them. And I've made it pretty clear, like, people have wanted to know a little bit about me. Now that I'm doing, you know, more interviews, I did come out and I spoke a little bit about myself, but I also say at the same time that this isn't about me. Like, this is about the injured people. Like, that's what the platform is built for. It's not about my opinion. It's just about representing them. So, you know, people do always ask me, how can I do this so often? Like, I mean, it is very heavy and taxing work. Like, on a daily basis, I'm basically speaking to people who are facing their mortality every day. So, yeah, it's definitely hard work, but I don't know. That's not the hardest part for me. I seem to be able to hold space for people quite well. I think just because of the suffering that I've gone through in my own personal life, I know what it feels like on an emotional level, to feel like you're isolated and you're rejected and you're not heard. On a physical level, I can only imagine. It's just, yeah, like, I mean, some of these stories, like you're reading, you know, they're telling you about their heart issues, and your heart actually feels strange. Stories that stand out, I mean, if we're talking about hearts, we've got Engie Doyle, who's, you know, she was just going about her life, and her aorta just dissected, just straight up. Can't explain it. Yeah.
And most people that you deal with, are you aware of, like, is it more a younger type of age group, or is it older? Is it?
I'd say that that's more relative to the social media platform, I'd say. Like, I can just look at my stats and see that, you know, we have mostly women followers, which in the beginning, we used to get a lot more female injuries, but that has evened out. We do get just as much guys as we do females now.
Do you think that's because women are more keen to speak out, whereas men kind of hold it within?
That was an issue in the beginning, for sure. But I think more women just use Instagram than men do. That was why in the beginning we were focused on Instagram. But yeah, in regards to age groups, I mean, yeah, it's the same kind of deal. I mean, I'd say the most injuries we get are probably like, I'd say like around 30, like 30 to 40. Yeah, probably. Like, I mean, yeah, that's a hard one, actually. Maybe I'd broaden that. I'd say like anywhere from 20 to 40 is probably where the most of them are.
Wow.
And I've noticed, like, I've reviewed the TGA data like for over 12 months now, so I like get how heavy it is. So I'm just so humbled that you are on today and that you do what you do, because I've had a small taste of it and I really did struggle. So I do take my hat off to you for what you do, Matt, and I really appreciate it. But recently, looking at the data, obviously there's a lot more children that are being reported to have adverse reactions now. But I'm also a follower of your page and have been for a while. Noticed that there is quite a small amount of parents that are coming forward to talk about their child's injury. Why do you think that is? Do you think there's an element of shame there from the parents' perspective?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I mean, I don't have kids myself, but I could definitely put myself in their shoes and imagine, you know, like you love your kids so much, and you're just doing what you think is best for them. You want to protect them, and all of a sudden they're sort of fighting for their life, or, you know, facing their mortality at such a young age. It's not going to be easy for the child, and you know, for the parent as well. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, just, yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. Yeah.
What do you think we could do to offer more support to these parents so that they felt more comfortable to come out? Because obviously if they do come out and tell us what's gone on, we can potentially save the next child or give parents more information to make a better decision.
Yeah. Well, you know, some parents are extremely brave in coming out, and they understand the importance of it. And they'll take it. I mean, like, okay, that's a good question, because I would say that this is more of a society thing, where society has to be more compassionate towards these people for not understanding. Like, the biggest issue these people have, I think, you know, other than shame for the feeling of shame for doing it to their own child or allowing that to happen. It's how they'll be received by the people on the other side. So we do get people that come in. It's usually the people that are like, yeah, I told you so. I know what's going on. You're stupid for doing this to your own child. That's the biggest problem, I believe. If people are more understanding that this isn't just black and white, then I'd say people will feel more safe to come forward and share their stories. And we have done a really good job. I don't know how closely you follow our page, but we have created a very safe community place. And, we do get those people and we get rid of them. But for the most part, people are good. It's just, yeah, that's probably the biggest issue. Yeah.
Matt, sorry. Now that the TGA's provisionally approved the Moderna and Pfizer shot for the for 6-month-olds to 5-year-olds now, I could imagine that people are going to be wanting more information and more and more actually, because it is a challenging decision. I mean, I've got friends and family, and we're all have our own opinions and what we're going to do, but I know people who will get their children done, and I know people who won't get their children done. Do you think that just from what you're seeing, because you're seeing it daily, and the adverse reaction, do you feel that once people start uptaking the this shot for their children, do you think you're going to see a bigger upward spiral of reported events?
I don't know if I'll see a big upward amount of events. I'd say that there's going to be more. Obviously, there's another age group. There's going to be more. Like Moderna is none of them are safe. So yeah, that just comes again, down to the whole shame thing of the parents. Like, it's just up to the parents. And this is why it's so important that the parents do come forward and share their stories, because if they don't, people don't think it's happening. And we know it is happening, because I've put out a few polls and asked for people if they know people personally that have children under the age of 10 that have been injured. And I've had a ton of people, say that, yeah, they know someone, but these parents aren't wanting to come forward. That's a big issue.
I think, as you mentioned before, one of the biggest issues is the polarization and the tribalism that's kind of come along with this, where it's the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. When really we're all, as they say, we're all in this together. We really need to stop that division between the people, because that's how they that's how they divide. It's divide and conquer, isn't it? So
yeah, that's right. And like, we've lost a few stories because people come in, and like, we had one guy who had, I think he was the first person to have open heart surgery post vaccine pericarditis. And after he had the surgery, on the way out, the doctors recommended he get his booster shot, and he got his booster shot. And you can just imagine, the response from people not being able to understand why he'd go and get his booster shot after he just, had open heart surgery from a post-vaccine injury. But the thing is, the doctors were the ones that were recommending that he do this. And he was in a vulnerable position. Like, I can't imagine what it'd feel like to just get out of having open heart surgery. And, that you're basically fighting for your life, and you're just doing what you're told by the professionals. Now, a lot of people got in there and just started calling him stupid, basically. And this guy was like, look, I really wanted to share my story, but I just can't deal with it. And he asked me to take it down, because he was just trying to get better and heal. He was trying to help us by putting his story out there, But what these people don't realize is that if these people don't share their story, you're not going to have an argument to stand on. So it's extremely important that we put our egos aside to support each other, you know, to realize that, you know, it is cliche, but we do need to stand together. We do need to come together. That's the only way that we're going to be able to make change happen. So yeah, we welcome everyone. Even, you know, we share people's stories who believe in it, and we tell their story honestly, because, you know, all the people that don't understand what's going on, you know, they're the ones that believe in it, and they need to hear that someone else believed in it too, and now look at where they are.
But somebody who's actually gone and done something and then realize that they've made a mistake, and they're going to publicly admit that they've made the mistake, that makes them nothing but brave. And we should be there
exactly.
to welcome them.
Exactly.
Because telling their story is part of their healing as well. So.
Yep.
I think it's we're all in the same boat, because even the people that have decided to remain unjabbed, we don't know if we've, you know, made the right decision or not, especially early on. And maybe it's becoming more clear as time goes by, but even in the beginning, this was such a new thing and a new technology being introduced that no one really knew what was going to happen. So it was a really daunting decision for people to make, and a lot of people just went along with the health advice. I myself tried to do a lot of research, and I remember, because you know I was facing losing my job, and I did end up losing that role. But I remember researching, and I was trying to find information to convince myself to take it. And I remember watching a documentary or a lecture or something online. And I was reading the comments after it, and someone was saying, "I can't wait to get my second dose. I'm counting down the days." And I was like, I wish I could feel like that. It'd make my life a lot easier. But at the end of the day, I don't. For whatever reason, I just don't feel that way. So I think people really need to recognize that everyone's circumstances is completely different to everyone else's. Some people have different, you know, physical condition, health conditions, age, you know, it plays a big factor. So I think we really need to reach out to everyone and say, hey, it's not us versus them or whatever. It's everyone individually has their own circumstances. And it's, you know, we can't demonize someone else for making a decision based on their circumstances, because it's that decision was based unique to them.
Yeah.
I think it's really great that you're happy to basically just voice everyone's story. I think that's very powerful.
Well, I mean, if you want to unite and you want as many people to come to the one space, you have to accept everyone's story. You can't leave anyone out. I mean, in saying that, I mean, if there are abusive people, I'll cut them out. I don't care about that. But yeah, for the most part, you have to accept everyone, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Matt, I was just on that. Is there a team, or do you have a process of vetting some of the stories? Because some people, you know, might feel it in the best interest to, you know, exaggerate a story or possibly make something up, and that then goes against the idea of informed consent and information. Like, if people do make up stories.
Yeah.
Is there a way of vetting it? Sorry, it's raining. It's raining out here, so I'm just going to put me on mute.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, so I mean, I call everyone pretty much. Like I do a quick consult with everyone before we write their stories. I got a team of writers as well that help me. There's just too much for me to do on my own now. But yeah, we interview pretty much every single person. I'd say that there's probably, I mean, at least we got to a certain point, I think it was like 3 months in or 2 or 3 months in, something like that, where we started taking control of the content ourselves. And, you know, there was like one one of our stories, I mean, she was in hospital. She was showing that she was in hospital. She was showing me papers and stuff, but there were people saying like, look, this, you know, she was injured, but then the week later she was out partying, and people, you know, really made me think about that. So we did get more thorough with our checking. I mean, we see batch numbers, we see papers, we speak and interview these people for like, I mean, the story, I don't know, did you guys read the story I put up yesterday?
Oh, was that the one with the 2 women?
Oh, no, sorry, the one after that. So, Grace.
I haven't read Grace's story yet.
Okay, so like I did that interview in one go. It took about 3.5, 4 hours to write. And, you know, like we spend a lot of time with these people, and a lot of the times we video them as well. Yeah, Grace. Yeah, her story was absolutely insane, and just I couldn't believe how much suffering Grace had been through, but she was like, yeah, like actually living up to her name. She was just so gracious in her attitude, and just such a good, loving person. Her and her mum. Her mum, you know, she's done a lot to be there for her daughter. So, yeah. Back to the question. Sorry, I'm rambling off a bit, but yeah, we credibility is like a huge thing. I mean, if we're trying to, you know, spread awareness to the masses, of course, credibility has to be the most important thing out of everything. It's just like, yeah, we are shooting ourselves in the foot if we're putting up stories that aren't real.
And you've done a lot of great work so far. You have over 100,000 followers on Instagram. What's the next steps for you? You spoke about funding, trying to get some more funding, but where do you see this going for you?
Well, I do this to end this. I don't really want to be doing this, if I'm honest. I've sacrificed my entire life. I've lost my whole identity, my social life, everything. So I'm hoping that we either tip the scales and the government acknowledges, because they have to acknowledge it, or if it keeps on going, which I unfortunately think it is going to keep on going for a while, you know, I'm really trying to push on, because there are so many people that need funding, and it's not just our organisation. There's quite a few organisations that are, you know, doing the whole jab injuries thing, and everyone is struggling for funds. So we are working with a couple of people that maybe you guys have heard of, like Jerry Brady. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's kind of in charge of searching for funds for us at the moment. Yeah, it's. I don't really know where it's going, honestly, but we're trying to pump out the stories and just spread as much awareness as we can. And I mean, it was never our intention to compensate people and do all this sort of stuff, but we have become a focal point for jab injuries in Australia. So, you know, if we can do it, we will. Yeah.
Have you attracted any attention from media at all?
I mean, they definitely know who we are. But yeah, I mean, Korea Mail, I left a comment on their page yesterday and they deleted it. I just said, hey, if anyone wants, you know, real news from people who are actually telling their stories, come to our page and have a read for yourself. Like, I wasn't bagging them out or anything like that. But yeah, they deleted our comment. We left a ton of messages on what's his name, Whipper and Fitzy or something like that, on his
Whipper.
Yeah, on his show. They deleted our comment, and they had probably the most comments they've ever had, but they didn't mention us. Same with the project on their Instagram page. We let them know that we were here, and we asked everyone to go over and leave a comment and tag our name. I think there was like 1,000 comments or something like that. Nothing. They didn't. Just nothing. So radio silence. Ben Fordham.
Yeah.
I've written to him a number of times. He reads my messages. He won't respond though. A lot of people were saying that, a lot of people were saying that he was, one of the good ones and he's speaking out, but he won't speak to me. So I don't know. We put up a post recently, actually. It wasn't too long ago. It was called, we do a topic of the week. And it was, I don't know if you saw it, was on censorship. And we were basically telling everyone to tag someone who you think should share our page. And we got over 4,000 comments. I think we got 4,500 comments or something like that, which is massive. It's a lot of comments. We weren't just calling out the media, we were also calling out people who are fighting the good fight as well. Because there are a lot of people out there who, are fighting for freedom, but have not mentioned us at all. And it's sort of, I don't know why, but we have seen that.
I guess they're going to have to start really listening, because to have 109,000 followers on Instagram.
Can I just butt in there?
Yeah.
Well, we actually have, I think, 250,000 followers globally with all the other countries. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
So
great.
So 250,000 followers is not anything to be laughed at. It's a serious topic where there is serious interest in it. So I think with what you're doing and the work that you're doing and continuing on with it, have a bit of strength and just keep going. We're all here for you. If anyone can volunteer, or if anyone can help Matt and Jab Injuries Australia out, let them get in contact with us, and we'll put you in contact with Matt. So 250,000 people, it's nothing to be laughed at. And obviously people, mainstream media, politicians, the government, they're going to have to start taking notice of the people's voice and let them and really start to pay attention. Maybe it is a time for some sort of admission, and then and then let's move forward. Let's get through it. We're not trying to demonize anybody in this situation at all. I mean, they're working towards, I've met a lot of politicians and a lot of people. I don't believe they intentionally do things to hurt us. I think that they get information from certain sources and they run with it, and then they do the best they can. So I just think that they have to start listening to the actual people's voices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't go out. Yeah, well, we're not attacking the government at all. We're just trying to avoid it, because whether they're intentionally doing this or they're not intentionally doing this, they're not seeing what's happening, or they don't want to see what's happening. I can only for me personally, I can only sort of put my focus to make change happen. And if you're constantly coming up to a brick wall, I can't keep on going there. You know what I mean? So
I agree. And I think it's hard to sit here and say that they're completely unaware of what's going on when they've rolled out a COVID-19 vaccine compensation scheme. To me, that's, there's an issue. For you to create some sort of compensation, then there's an issue to begin with.
Yeah. And I mean, that the compensation is a bit of a sore point for a lot of people too, because it doesn't even acknowledge half these people's injuries.
Yeah.
And then they have to go through a ton of loops to try and get anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
And does it frustrate you when we've gone through all of this? People have lost their jobs, people have had adverse reactions, and then the Premier came out the other day and said that the flu is possibly worse than COVID. So why did we go through all this?
I mean, I've seen many things that are just, See, you know, like I got to be careful with what I say.
Of course, of course.
You know, like I don't want to attack because I mean they could just shut us down if they wanted to, right? So, you know, I'm kind of playing by the rules. I'm just trying to allow people to think for themselves, and I think we're at a place in, you know, in time where we have to make a decision. See, I come from a little, like I come from a biblical perspective. So I feel like it's you either choose God or you choose man. That's how I see things. So yeah, I don't want to create like aggression and go that way because I mean, and also I mean, where has holding the government accountable for anything in the past ever gotten us if today is the end result of that? So it's not that I'm saying that the government's bad and that they're not doing anything at all. And, you know, I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of people who think that, but yeah, I just feel like it has to be something different this time. It has to be a new idea. It has to be something new because, yeah, as we spoke earlier, like before all this stuff happened, we were in a downward spiral. We weren't living in a world that was sustainable at all.
And I just think with our, like, the statistics that are available on all multiple government websites, with the Bureau of Statistics recent data coming out from the census, it literally says that COVID-19 is the 38th leading cause of death in Australia. So why are we still beating a dead horse when it's there for us to see now that it's not what we thought it was 2 years ago, and we need to sort of move forward and help heal those who have suffered in the meantime.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, like, personally, this is why I do see things, I guess, a lot deeper than most people see, but I'm just not willing to go there in conversation publicly because,
of course,
you know, like I'm here to protect all these people that need a voice. That's the most important thing to me.
That's amazing.
Do you feel that events throughout your life have led you to this?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a pretty interesting life. Yeah. I mean, they say when God works, he works swiftly, and it just sort of went boom, straight like that. And yeah. Is there anyone? Is there anything you want to know, like specifically, or?
Oh no, I guess I'm kind of feeling that way myself. That you kind of just thrust into this position, and if I went back 2 years ago and kind of was aware of what was about to happen, I wouldn't be able to imagine it. But you kind of get thrust into this role, and then suddenly doors start opening everywhere, and
yeah,
you kind of take on a little bit of responsibility because there isn't, you know, as we mentioned with the media, there's no one really representing these people in the media.
no.
So you know, sometimes you just kind of thrust into a certain situation that you weren't prepared for. But sometimes when you're in that situation, things come up and you go, well, parts of my life in the past have kind of prepared me for this. And it's kind of strange how that all works out.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's how I feel. I don't think if I hadn't gone through my own suffering, I wouldn't be able to get down to the level that these people need.
Yeah. No, I think it's fantastic what you're doing. I'm sure it's not easy, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that haven't reached out to you that you know, are very appreciative of what you're doing, and there's probably a lot of people that are not aware of you as well that would be appreciative of what you're doing. So I think you definitely need to be commended, and you're, in my view, you're definitely a hero for everything that you're doing, and you're just giving people a platform to tell their stories, and I think that's, at the end of the day, all you need to do.
Thank you. I just want to say I don't think that I'm a hero. One of my main goals is just to remain as humble as possible. Like I don't want to make this about me. I kind of just want my life back. I don't,
Yeah.
But thank you. I appreciate it. If anyone ever thanks me, I just turn around and say, no, well, thank you, because without you, I wouldn't be here, which is true.
Matt, I know we're coming up to time almost, but I was just wondering, from starting the page and then experiencing what you've experienced, do you feel that there is a positive message that is starting to form? That is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Do you start to see with the community building and government voices, health ministers, and Anthony Fauci, and they've all backflipped so many times. They've all shown that they've had inconsistencies. Do you feel that there's a positive messages for the community, especially your 250,000 community? Are you seeing a light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, there's definitely cracks appearing. Definitely, like we're starting to get a few famous people speaking out, which is good, using our page. And I mean, inevitably, the more stories we get, the closer we get to just tipping the scales. Like, that's all it is. It's just a numbers game, really. In saying that, I think there's, it's not good to get complacent. I think that they've got a lot more things in store for us that a lot of us don't see coming yet. I'd say maybe to do with the digital era, CBDCs and stuff. So whatever that means, I think that there's some rocky roads ahead. Yeah, but the cracks are appearing for sure. Like,
that's where we need to be building our communities so that we're strong together moving to the future.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. So if we can get on top of this, we can do it again when it comes to something else.
Absolutely, and we need to start. I know it's apolitical. It's not about politics at all. But we need to start raising the awareness that we need to start getting people representative of the people into positions of, as I said, legislation and stuff like that. So it is very important. It is an important part of the way our society works. So don't forget that the people who are calling the shots, the people who are putting the restrictions on, the people who are doing the mandates, they're all in positions of legislative power. If we need to start speaking out and start getting our voices heard, or for Jab Injuries Australia's voices, the people on there heard, people need to start actually considering a peaceful way of doing it is through who you choose politically. So without being political, I am going to be political though, but it is about getting there's a state election coming up. We've seen the parties that do stand up for people voices, such as people in Jab Injuries Australia. So they're the parties I believe people should be investing in and having a look at, and then making their decision on polling days.
Yeah, I just want to say, if the government is listening to this video right now, I just want to say, we'll make it easy for you. Like, we won't give you a hard time, and we'll do the job for you. So you just give us the funds and we'll do it for you. We'll fix it. That's what I'd say.
That's great. That's fantastic, Matt, everything you're doing. Do you just want to let everyone know how they can follow you? We've mentioned your Instagram and your website, but you want to just go through it all again for us?
Yeah, so www.jabinjuriesglobal.com. Our main page is Instagram.com/jab_injuries_Australia. And we've also got Instagram.com/OJabInjuries ohm.australia, which is also incredibly important. I mean, yeah, if the government doesn't, come to aid, then I don't see any other way that we're going to be able to do this other than through OM. So that's why I'm doing it.
All right, great. Well, it's thank you for coming on and telling us about everything that you're doing. I think it's very important, and I think you're doing it from the right space as well. You're not trying to create too much noise. You're just giving people a platform to tell their stories. And I think at the end of the day, that's what a lot of people are just searching for. They just want someone to listen to them and not be judged. Just be able to get their story out.
Yeah, and it also means that you or Rennick or Doctor Science, whoever, can use it as well.
Yep, definitely.
I'd like to say thank you again as well, Matt. Sorry before when you were talking, it just started raining. The wind was blowing the rain across my computer. But I just wanted to say thank you very much. I understand. I think all of us haven't felt it quite the way you felt it. But same thing, we all felt like, well, I know I felt like at the start we had to stand up and do something. So, virtue signaling is one thing, but actually taking action is another. So I believe all of us have, in some way or another, been touched by Jesus or God as well, and led down a path of being a warrior for the people. I certainly feel that I've been led down the path of standing and being a voice. This is not something that I would traditionally do either. So I'd just like to say, on a very, very serious note, thank you very much for your dedication. I do know, and I do have an understanding of how much time these kind of things do take. We still have to live, we still have to feed the family, we still have to eat. But then when you add these kind of things on top, and I've got 300 followers or something like that, you've got 250,000. I can't imagine how much work that you do on the side. So thank you very much. And I really appreciate, and I'm sure everyone on your page appreciates what you're doing, because you said you weren't a hero, but you are, because you have the voice and you're the one who stood up and did that. And that's what my constituents and volunteers say to me, that I said, I got teachers who are my volunteers and they're far, greater than me. And then they go, but you're the one who can do it because I can't do it. So that's what God's done for you, is giving you the power to actually do something. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And I'm sure all your followers do as well.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
You're very humble, but please know you're so appreciated, Matt. If I can just leave it at that. Yeah, you're doing so much, probably more than you realize. So we are grateful.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
So guys, how was that? It's a little bit different than our normal episodes. A little bit of a very deep and raw topic. What are your feelings about that one?
I'm happy with it. I feel better knowing that we're using our platform to get that sort of thing out there, because people need to know that it's real and people need to know that it's happening, as well as the people that are suffering need to know they aren't alone.
I agree. I think it was really important that I think it's important for these kind of platforms. If social media is good for one thing, at least it gives people a chance to form communities and be able to get their tell their stories and be part of each other's lives.
And I want to make it very clear that we're not anti-vax. We are very pro-choice. So if you decide to go out and be jabbed, then that's your decision. But everyone needs to accept that there are these stories out there of people having these reactions, and I don't think it's unfair or wrong to tell these stories. So what Matt and Jab I keep saying, well, I don't know why I can't say it. Jab Injuries Australia, what they're doing is very commendable. So, yeah, we're all kind of a bit drained, I think, after that.
Well, informed consent is having the stories from both sides.
Correct.
So it gives you an opportunity to weigh up information from one side of a story and the other side of the story. So you can have medical information, you can have people's information. I mean, when you're buying a car, you don't decide just to go and grab a car. You ring up a friend and say, hey, you know, do I want this Mazda? Or do you know, have you heard about this? Have you heard about that? What do you think of this? You go and make an informed decision. So I think it's important. The same thing. This is not about a car or about money. This is about your health. You have one body and you have to look after it. And you have to decide what you put in and put out of it. I'm an 80s kid. We had, that was campaigned to us, all drummed into my head all through my childhood. So one body, and you choose what should go into it and what doesn't go into it, and no one else should be able to tell you not to. So that's what I think.
I don't think people realize how hard it is to feel alone and feel isolated, and when you can face confronted with these big decisions and confronted with if you have an adverse reaction, what do you do? How do you keep working? How do you it's a very harrowing thing. So to know that there's a community out there that is willing to just listen, they don't even have to do anything for you, just to listen to you, and you can feel that you're not alone. I think that's the biggest takeaway out of this, is that there's actually a place for people to go and share this.
And I think
share their stories.
You'll find whoever you speak to who has gone ahead and had it done, they're not given the other side of the story that we've just discussed.
Yeah.
Never is that mentioned that there is a risk involved. It's safe and effective, and that's all.
Yeah.
And they think that they're kooks and they're crazy. Well, no, listen to their story first before you pass judgment. So
go on the page. Some of the images are horrific. Matt said that they vet these, so they interviewed the people, they talk to the people, they get the information from the people. This is, I would imagine that it would be like 99% of everything on there. I mean, you're always going to have a fake one, but 99% of that stuff on there will be genuine. So I remember when I scrolled through it and I saw that one lady had, her mouth was just completely ulcerated. It was horrific. I don't know. And it's, these are normal people with nothing to gain from telling their story about what's happened to them after taking that particular procedure. So it's definitely something worth paying attention to, and definitely getting information from both sides.
Not everyone dies, and
no, it's not about death.
Yeah, and sometimes there's worse things than death. So,
and I think one of them would be trying to seek assistance from the medical industry and being told that you aren't experiencing these symptoms, that it's simply anxiety, and then off you go.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for watching this episode. If you got any value out of it, please share it. We are trying to build this platform, so it's up to everyone watching really to help us. We really need you to share this and share it with everyone, friends, family, people that you think might be interested in hearing this. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, a whole bunch of podcasting platforms I've never even heard of before. So we're definitely out there. You can log on to our Facebook, facebook.com/ExCandidates. We're also on Gab as well. So it should be easy to find us and share the word. So, we appreciate everyone that's watching, but we're going to have to start relying on you guys to help us get the message out, because I think we're covering a lot of topics that people need to hear. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.